All right, so we are live. We are finally live. Oh, I was thinking, oh my gosh, are we going live or not? And I'm so glad that you guys are here. This is Dan Duran and Andrew Simerton from BWire Technologies, your IT company, here in this podcast. This is our pretty much our first podcast in a while, Andrew, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been a while. We were regulars on this channel for a long time, and then we just got so tied up and so busy, and we wanted to come back and be back at it.
Exactly, 100%. So we have a really good show today, and it's going to be all about basically tier. We have a tier list on signs that are going to help you see whether you have to fire your IT provider or not. These are the telltale signs that I have here, and we're going to rank them from the worst offenders. So the F, right? So to possibly the upward in terms of the rankings. So I have them in here. Let me just do a
Dan,
yes,
I think
sir.
you know what, maybe just tee it up a little bit, and I think this is really important in our industry, and I think that as business owners or business leaders, you're usually really confident. You come from a place of confidence to be able to execute and be able to build and create and grow. And the reality of it is, it's a pretty scary place because your IT team, literally holds the keys to your kingdom. And a lot of business owners and executives and business leaders are like, what are we going to do? We can't fire our current guy. I mean, there's just too much at stake. Or our current team or our current MSP or whatever that looks like. And the reality of it is, there is methodology behind what you should be looking at, because it could be very detrimental for your business if you're working with the wrong team. And I think that's what this podcast is all about, is helping educate business leaders and business owners to why and what they should be looking at and what they should be contemplating and potentially changing what they're working with and who they're working with.
100%. I 100% agree with that, and it is a performance issue or cybersecurity or anything. You need to make sure that you trust your IT provider, that they're doing the right things for you, and things are not coming back. That you don't have any issues with cybersecurity, and when they do, they respond very quickly. There's so many things. It's not just about a computer slowing down, but you have servers that you have to take care of if people can't work from home because their VPN access is no longer functioning. There's so many things, so many balls on the air. And because you are the president or the person in charge of us, all of this, or the operations, for example, you don't know the IT, you don't know the technology, you don't. So you rely on people that can make better decisions than you could, right? So that's the underlying key, and that's why we're here to provide you with the 7 signs that it's time. It's time to move on from your current IT provider into better hands. So shall we start?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an exciting topic. I think it's a needed topic. So yeah, let's do this. Let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start with the first one, which is the same problem keeps coming back. So let's suppose there's a ticket, something is not working, and then next month there's the same ticket, and then the same ticket, and so on. Is this one of the telltale signs that you should fire your MSP? Yes, no. Where do we put it? How does it rank?
I think it's an important one because, again, it's dollars and cents and proper expenditure and communication, right? So I think the reality of it is if you have and are working with a good IT team, a good MSP, you should have a repository of history of what's happened, where it is, etc. So this is kind of a two-prong answer. If you're getting a different person every single time when you reach out to your MSP and your ticketing, and they have to understand your tech stack, they have to understand what is, and they don't have a resource to tap into to see why is this reoccurring, that's a fundamental problem. Again, back to communication and understanding, and having your team know, having your MSP know who your team is and what your tech stack looks like. And then in regards to a reoccurring issue, of course it's a problem, because then it's a reoccurring cost for you as a business. So, you have to be able to say to your MSP, listen, guys, this has happened 3 times, 5 times, 8 times, and we're paying for this every single time. Like, how do we fix this long term? So it is it is a concern. It is an issue. Do I think it's a game changer? No, but I think it is definitely a conversation point.
Yes. So yes, just to be the devil's advocate. So if the issue is saying it keeps on coming back, it means they're fixing the issue,
Yep.
right? They are fixing the
Fixing it.
issues,
Yep.
but they're not fixing the root cause of the issue.
Exactly.
So it doesn't happen again, right? So yeah, so it's a given a pull, right? So and what you said, it's time, it's money wasted, it's like just like effort. I'm like, not again, it's just a nuisance. Come on, guys, fix it from once and for all kind of thing, right? So this is where should I put this? What do you think, Andrew?
I would put it around a C or B, probably in that area. And the reason being is because you got to remember, technology is always changing and evolving too. So all because somebody fixes it once, and let's say something similar happens down the line, it could be a technical thing, right? It could be a technology thing. It could be a change. It could be many factors, right? So the root cause, if it is something that's ongoing and it's your responsibility to fix it, and there is a root cause, then definitely it should be fixed. If it's a technological change, then there's understanding the little gray area there. But I would put this probably around a C because it's dollar and cents, and business don't want to spend money for no reason.
Yeah, but let me just be the devil's advocate.
I love that. B, please.
Okay, so there's so many things. There's so many balls that you're juggling, right? And there's your SLAs where in terms of like how often or how fast you can fix things, and there's things that are much more urgent, like cybersecurity or things like that, right? So and the other thing is like Microsoft, right? So it's oh my god, it's just so crazy. Every time there's an update, things break out of nowhere. Things break. So I want to give the MSP a little bit of a slacking here.
I agree.
In terms of as long as they keep all the balls in the air, but there's some problems that they need to fix because they're coming back. I will give them a little bit of slack and put this probably at a B, not a C.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, let's put it at a B.
Let's put it as a B. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So perfect. Next one. Communication is poor.
That's to me, that's like right up there. That's up like an E. To me, that's me because communication is everything. Communication in a relationship, in a business, in a partnership, in a new client, in understanding the needs. I think communication is critical. That's my philosophy on it, because with clear lines of communication, anything can be resolved. With no communication, frustration builds, and then you end up having an owner saying, I'm not sure if they're doing their job anymore. And that's why we're having this podcast, right? So I don't know. I think it's huge. That's my opinion.
Yeah, me too. Communication is so huge. Where are the ETAs, guys? You told me that like you were gonna have this for whatever. You didn't even tell me. Like I'm looking for this information. Where's the status updates? Where are the reports? Where are the meetings that we're supposed to have every month? You told us that we're gonna meet every month, and now we're meeting like never, right? So where are the phone calls? Like when there is no communication, it's just like a relationship, man. It's like me and my wife, for example. Like we have to have that communication. If there is no communication, it's just see you later. We're on our own, right? So
and you know what's
really I agree with you.
Yeah, and you know what I think what's really is important that people understand is sometimes an MSP will think, well, there's nothing wrong, there's no problems, everything's running smooth. That is still the time to communicate with your client on a monthly basis, so they have that confidence, that peace of mind that you're on top of it. So it's not just when there's a fire and oh my God, we got to tell our client. It's like, hey, everything's running smoothly. This month we had this. This month we did this. This month this worked out really well. And I think it's constant communication, good or bad, is critical.
100%. Bad communication is good too.
Yeah, it's
communication, because like again, I go back to the relationship. Me and my wife, or your wife, or etc. Girlfriends.
Girlfriends.
No, not you, but other people's girlfriends.
Perfect. You're getting me in trouble here.
you and your girlfriends, and no, I'm just kidding. So the main thing is that even if there are things that we need to work out, and things that, okay, you are doing this and you shouldn't do this, or this is really your fault, not ours, and there needs to be even if you're butting heads, there needs to be communication,
Yeah,
as long as it's proactive communication, uh, and maintaining the relationship. So like for example, I think the communication part amplify all the problems, right?
exactly.
So here's they never tell us anything. So even if a little thing, a
Yeah,
little problem, a little ticket, a little nuisance can become like a huge thing because of communication. So
yeah,
100% I agree with you. I think it should be pretty high up there. So I'll put it as an E,
yeah.
probably, and
I'd
about an
even
E.
put it. I
Really?
would even put it as an F because I think it stems from everything. That's my opinion. But again, I'll agree to. We're, we're
I
off by a little. We're off by a little bit.
Yes, it's almost an. I think it's almost an F. It's not an F because it's not. It's a nuisance that becomes like pretty
Yeah.
obvious that the IT
Let's call it
provider is
an E
failing.
plus, an
E
E
plus,
or E
yeah,
minus.
E minus. Let's do a E minus. Perfect. Because the only reason why it's not an F is because you're not losing money in buckets, right? So no, like the next one. The next one is cybersecurity is an afterthought. What do you think about that one?
You know what? I think 10 years ago, you could probably get away with that statement. But
Yeah,
it's, with the ever evolving technology and AI and third party services and it's so critical. I mean it is at the top of the list. There's no question. It's up there with a DEF scenario. And the reason I say DEF, maybe not D and E, is because obviously there's a little room there. But I think it's critically important. You should be doing third party audits. You should be double checking and verifying that you're doing a good job at an MSP, or your client should be hiring a company like Rhino Cybersecurity, for example, to come in and do a third party audit on your infrastructure, because that gives great insight to not only are you protected from a security standpoint, you're looking behind the curtain, but also that your team is doing a good job.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you know what, my opinion, Dan, you asked, and I'm giving it. Cybersecurity is right up there. It's very, very important.
yeah, yeah. So the main thing is like you can. I know slow IT is frustrating, right? To have a company that moves really slow is frustrating. Bad security can put you out of
A
business.
business, 100%, and like that.
It, like this, because we've seen it. We've seen it out there how a company gets ransomware, and that's the end of the game, man. That's like the end of the game. Like the company has to shut down, or there's such a bad malware that encrypts everything. You can't get your stuff back,
Yeah,
and then it's such a nightmare. That's where you can lose millions of dollars in
and
your
credit,
enterprise.
and equally as important as money is credibility. And
Credibility, all of
you,
that. Or like for example, fraud. Let's suppose fraud, or data loss. Oh my god. So
yeah,
fraud, $500,000 are siphoned out of our accounts payable because there was a cybersecurity breach, and then they changed the bank account of the fraudsters, who are like pretending they are vendors, and then all of a sudden you lose $500,000. That's way more than an entire IT budget for the entire year,
yeah,
right? So that's one of the things. The second thing is like data loss, for example, personal identifying information, health information, etc. Out there, you're failing your employees, you're failing your customers. That's your reputability right there, right? So
yeah.
it is huge. So cybersecurity is an afterthought. I put it at F.
It can't be
Worst.
anymore.
If there's something out of this whole podcast that I want you to go home and say, well, what is the worst thing? It's cybersecurity.
Yeah,
Cybersecurity is by farthest the main reason why you should 100% fire your IT company.
well, and
When
I think that's a very valid point. Not all IT companies have the depth of a cybersecurity company, and I think so by hiring a cybersecurity company, or if your IT company first and foremost refuses to do deep dives and make sure you're protected, then 100% I agree. That's a red flag, huge red flag to fire them. Or if you're bringing in a cybersecurity company to give them that view behind the curtain, give them recommendations, give them guidance, do the remediation and fix everything, then again, that comes back to communication. we did this, we gave you this, fix it. And if they're not fixing it, another red flag to freaking get rid of your MSP, because
Yeah.
cybersecurity is critical.
Yes. 100% is that critical. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
All right.
So support is consistently slow.
You know,
Uh,
I think that comes to expectations. When you're hiring an MSP, when you're hiring a new company, when you're hiring an organization, when you're basically giving the confidence in a third-party partnership, communication again, back to communication, and part of your SLA agreement, it should be clearly marked based on criteria of risk or concern or importance, and the timeline should be managed accordingly. So therefore, the client's expectations are met, and we or you as an MSP know what you should be and how you should be escalating it. So you're doing what you promised you would do. If it's always slow and you can't keep up, another huge red flag, because clearly there's issues with that MSP.
You know what happens when support is consistently slow? And this is crazy, but employees start looking for workarounds.
Yeah, good point, actually.
Yeah. So, for example, I have an issue with something, and then I go to my IT company, and they are not fixing it, and it's so slow, and I know they have a bad rap because they're always slow. So, how can I fix the problem myself? I need to do this, and I have this problem. How can I fix it myself? And then we have a whole bunch of employees doing their own work that the IT provider should be doing. They do it on their own, and they don't know how to do it. So
it's a Wild West.
it's a Wild West, and we had clients like that. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, Andrew, one of our best clients that switched to us because of this problem they had with their old MSP, where like people are doing their own thing because they just don't want to bother with the IT company, which is sad.
Becomes more of a frustration. And if you're hiring an MSP, it should be, oh, this is amazing. I'm literally picking up the phone, or I'm sending a text, I'm sending a ticket to my buddy who I know I've worked with 20 times, and they're going to answer right away. And the mindset is they're another colleague. They're not, oh, they're frustrating to deal with, I don't want to talk to them. I agree, Dan. And you're right. Actually, it's a valid point, because you do those workarounds. And then when you do the workarounds, you're introducing more potential risk, security-wise and technology-wise, into your infrastructure.
Exactly. So let me give you a specific example. I want to use this new AI, right? This new AI, it's really good for my type of work that I do. I'm in the warehouse and move stuff, and this AI looks amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna ask the IT company whether I can use this AI, if it's safe to use or not. But I know that they never reply to me, and the service is so freaking slow and from the past. So what do? I'm like, okay, I'll just gonna adopt it, right? So and then I start using the AI. All of a sudden, we have a huge problem because I am leaking information or something is happening, and I'm taking my matters on my own hands. So exactly what you're saying, that like they start having this. They don't want to sit idle. You can have an employee sitting idle just waiting for the IT to say yay or nay, right? So that's so I agree with you. Where should we put it? Does it break or make it?
No, but
I was thinking like D or C.
D, I say I'd go up to a D, because you don't want to build a culture of frustration, right? So I think it is important, and eventually you lose confidence and trust, and then you just have mayhem. And I just want to jump in here real quick, Dan. I think it's really important because obviously BYR Technology is an MSP, and we deal with a lot of huge organizations, and we're very, and small organizations, many, and we're very proud that a lot of companies, or most of our new companies, have come to us out of frustration from their current MSP. And for us to sit here and have the confidence and pick apart the reason why you should fire an organization like ours, I think speaks volumes to bringing this to light. So, you're hearing it from a company that has to deal with these frustrations, these headaches, these issues every single day. And it is very important for all those MSPs out there to be listening to what we're saying, and to all your companies out there to be understanding the importance of why those red flags are so critical in making a conscious decision to change your MSP. Because if they're hiding things, they're not talking to you, they're slow response time, they're doing everything, it's time to change. And we're going to continue to talk about this, but I thought it was important that I brought that to the forefront, because we are an MSP talking about firing MSPs. So
Exactly.
it's pretty important.
Yes, absolutely. We're a new type of company. Okay,
We
we're a
are
new type of company.
absolutely.
We are different, and that's what like I friggin' love our company, right? So everybody, as soon as there's an issue, there's a ticket, people are on the phone. They're sending. We have a great organizational system for structure for handling tickets and all of that. I love my guys and gals in our company. They're amazing, and it makes us proud. And I feel very confident, and I feel very elated when I hear from clients, like yesterday, for example, where they say, you guys are amazing. You guys are so supportive. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the help, and that keeps me going. And that's why we're here. Because if
Absolutely.
you're having those problems with your IT company, then BeWire Technologies can solve your problems. I like that. I just had to plug our company in there.
Well,
But anyways,
I'm gonna just, I have to, just because I know we're going down the aisle here. But in regards to that meeting yesterday, I agree with you. It was such a nice comment. It was an internal IT person for a big organization that we take care of and we support and we help. We are an extension of them. And in the meeting, they basically said the response time was so important to their leader that it wasn't about the resolution. It wasn't about the fix. It was the fact that they were responded to almost immediately, that we were on it, we were looking into it,
yes,
we were taking care of it. So it
yep,
wasn't so much the resolution or the fix. It was the fact that after hours, in a really, really quick response time, we acknowledged their concerns. And I think that's an important takeaway for any
yes,
MSP out there and any company that's looking at changing your MSP. Really important.
yes. Yeah, and you know what? You brought a really important point here, because for some companies, maybe like support is consistently slow. It's under here as opposed to a D. So this is kind of like a general in
Exactly.
terms of what we see in the industry as MSP.
This wasn't planned, so we're choosing A, B, C, D together. So this is an ad lib podcast.
Exactly. So, but for some companies, some of these are worse than others, right? So,
Exactly.
so you have to measure your company, what's important to you. All I can tell you is that cybersecurity, definitely F across the board, right? So, anyways, next one. Next one, I think it's the least serious, right? So I don't want to touch upon that too much, but they're not bringing new ideas.
Yeah, and
What do you think? I think it's
I think you're right. I think you're down at closer to the one, A or B. But I think as a leader or as the support for this company, their thought process isn't about new technology and advancements. So as an MSP, you should be not only knowledgeable about the industry and what's happening down the line and implementing changes, or at least minimally recommending changes. So I think it's important, but it's certainly not critical. It's just
yeah,
about that communication and then leading from knowledge and expertise to guide your client in the right direction. So it's
exactly.
valuable, but it's not
Mhm.
critical.
Yeah, I think that a provider can still manage a stable, secure environment in
Yeah,
the company and with the client without constantly pitching new technology or offering new things and
yeah,
stuff
I
like
agree.
that. They're kind of dull, and but as long as they do their job, then that will be okay to me. But again, it's kind of like those pluses. These are one of those bonus. Kind of chips, right? So
Right.
you get this company, they're good at security, they're good, they're super fast, etc. Plus, they provide with new ideas, which is
New ideas.
fantastic. That's why
Yeah,
I love them. So
I,
at
I agree.
BeWire Technologies, what
Yes.
we do, aside from the reporting, because some of the clients that came to us, their MSP didn't even send them a report every month with all the tickets that they've
Crazy,
solved.
actually. It's
So,
actually so surprising.
so I just shake my head. At BR Technologies, we have a 30-minute meeting with the client, and hopefully the main stakeholder, the company's president or people that are in charge,
Minimum.
to to just go over what we did and what is next. Any server updates that we need to do in the future. Do you want to be like certified for something? Do you need this? What do we see in the environment that we can change to make things better for you? which is fantastic. Some clients, they say, no, we don't need to meet. That's okay. Just send us the report and stuff like that. We're okay, and that's fine. But other clients, they're on it. They're like,
Yeah.
yes, we want to meet. We want to just have this, like these, put these ideas on the table and
Yeah.
see what we can do to better, because it's money, it's time, it's productivity, it's all of that, right? So
And
it is important.
it is, and I think to your point, Dan, meeting minimally 30 minutes a month, but if not even more, depending on the client's needs. In that meeting, sometimes brainstorming happens, not just from an MSP perspective, but also from the clients bouncing ideas off their MSP, and new things are created and new light is
Yes.
done. And so I think it's not just about the MSP bringing new ideas. That's why it's not as critical. It's about just collaboration and communication.
Yes.
Again, back
Yes.
full circle to communication. So
and,
yeah,
and you get to see their faces,
and you get to
right?
see their
And talk,
faces. Nice thing about this, we can do it.
and shoot the shit. Like
Yeah,
that's like,
absolutely.
like it's fantastic. I love it. So, anyways, I would put this maybe a C or a B.
I'd go B probably. Yeah, I think
B, it's not that bad. It's
well,
kind of
unless
like
unless you want to fill up the category of C, because we don't have anything there right now. No,
okay. I'll put it. I'll put it at a B. I think it's not that bad. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about everything is reactive, and this is kind of like a pain in the butt, man. Like everything is reactive with this company. They're not proactive. They're not planning some sort of life cycle, or like IT becomes like something breaks, they fix. Something breaks, they fix. When problems could have been prevented long time ago. Like somebody got malware, but like, or something that is cybersecurity related, but that could have been totally preventable, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about that?
So I think being reactive in our industry is a given. It's a foregone conclusion. We always have to be reactive in a lot of ways, because we never know what we're going to walk into, what's going to happen, who's going to click on what, who's going to open what, who's going to do something. So obviously we always have to be, prepared to be reactive.
Yes.
But I think to avoid being as reactive in most situations, to your point, Dan, is being as proactive as possible to avoid those reactive type of scenarios. So
Yes.
I think that falls right in the middle category, because I think, as an industry, we are a reactive industry. There's no question. But we
Yes.
also have to be a proactive industry through cybersecurity, through basically making sure everything's up to date, making sure everything's secure, making sure that all of the configurations and defaults and everything else are where they need to be. So there's a combination of everything is reactive. Well, it shouldn't be. You need to be prepared to be reactive and understand that we will be reactive, but also be proactive.
Exactly. 100%. I agree. Sometimes you have to be reactive because the budget does not allow, right? So unfortunately, when it comes to IT and cybersecurity and things, that's kind of like afterthought when it comes to investment. There's not an investment; it's a cost center, right? There is no ROI in IT, and there is only productivity that you can increase, but it doesn't make you money, so it's a cost center, right? And everybody knows that. So there's a budget, and the budget it's not limitless. If it was limitless, then we'd be super proactive, and we'll have all kinds of cybersecurity in place. We have all kinds of like shiny servers, like latest technology with GPUs and all the stuff. But unfortunately, we have to do what we have. Sometimes the systems are legacy, the systems are old, and there needs to be workarounds, and so it makes us need to be reactive. Right.
I think, Dan, I'm going to compliment that in a second, or just kind of add to it. I think in a lot of ways, you got to understand, most MSPs have, a dozen, 2 dozen, 3 dozen, and really big ones, many, 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 many clients. Every client has different needs, right?
Yes.
And so as an MSP, being that proactive, or being that not just reactive, but proactive, by truly understanding your clients' needs and infrastructure and tech, and their budgets, etc., you build a framework that's going to give them the ultimate support, the ultimate communication, the ultimate response time, the best amount of security as you can, based on the client's needs. If you go in as an MSP that one size fits all, that's another red flag, huge red flag, because
100%.
that's not how businesses run, and every business is different. So I think that's really important. Everything is reactive side of things. I think that kind of goes hand in hand.
Yes. 100%. So where should I put this? Reactive.
I would put C. I think it's right in the middle. I
See?
think there's room for fail. There's room back and forth for it.
Yes. Okay.
That's
There
my
you go.
opinion.
So
Do you agree with it?
I think so. I think
You're
C
okay.
is a fair statement. I think it's not as important as consistency or communication is poor, but it's better than I mean like
It's not as
it's
low as
right
A
up
or B. Yeah.
exactly. So I think C is perfectly fine. Now the last one. So nobody now before I go into the last one, if you're suffering from all of these combined together, then you need to fire your MSP immediately, right? So I would say if cybersecurity is an afterthought and everything else is good, fire your MSP. However, if you're countering that all of these problems are combined together and they paint a picture, then it's time to let your MSP go. And next episode, we're going to talk about what are the steps that you need to do to be able to fire your MSP. Because as you said, Andrew, your MSP is holding the keys to the kingdom,
Yeah.
right? So what are the things that you need to do to be able to have a long-term plan or medium-term plan where that MSP is let go and then you hire a new one, hopefully Beware Technologies to take care of you,
There
right?
you go. I
So
like that. I like that. I just, you know what? With that said, and all kidding aside, this podcast isn't about bashing MSPs.
no, it's
This
not.
this podcast is 100% about bringing light to businesses because expectations of hiring an MSP should be held in a very high regard. And if you are frustrated, you're having these communications, it's ongoing. You've mentioned this to the client, your MSP, you've talked about your MSP, and it keeps ongoing and ongoing, then it's their fault that you're firing them. It's 100% their fault, and you shouldn't have to put up with it. But if they learn from these type of activities and this type of podcast and these kind of conversations, and they become better, then by all means, keep them on and keep supporting them, and they're going to keep supporting you. But at a certain point, when it's a while because it does hurt, right? The reality of it
Yes.
is, right? So that's
Yes.
what this is about. It's about bringing light to the red flags of why you should potentially fire your MSP or what they should be doing better to keep your business.
100%. So we have a comment here that says that Andrew can't really hear you that well when they
Oh,
put up the volume. Then they hear me screaming. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk a little softer because I'm a very loud person. So I'm so sorry about that. And Andrew's a very quiet person, so he needs to. He needs to I'm just kidding. It's usually the opposite, right? So
I thought I tested my speaker beforehand. My apologies. So I hope you can hear me at least a little bit. And for those of you who can't, my apologies. It's
yes.
yeah.
Can you hear me? Knock, 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 knock.
Can you hear me?
Right. Yes. So I'll talk slower, a little lower, so you guys can hear me. So last one, but not least, nobody takes accountability. Oh, this one is that's such a painful thing, right? So nobody takes accountability.
I think that falls down to leadership and ownership. I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's okay to say you made a mistake. It's okay to say that something happened that shouldn't have happened. If you are always putting off blame to something or someone else, I mean, come on, you have to look in the mirror sometimes. That's the reality.
Yes.
Sometimes it is technology fault. Sometimes it is a third-party provider, like we talked about other, certain companies. But the reality of it is sometimes it is the client that has done certain things, and you have to have that communication with them. But it's okay to take on accountability. It's okay to say you're not perfect. The reality of it is, if anybody tells you you're perfect, they're freaking lying. The reality of it is we all make mistakes. By owning those mistakes, I hope I'm speaking loud enough, by owning those mistakes, you can learn and grow. If you're always pushing off accountability, that's why there's 7 flags to firing your MSP, because the reality of it is they're not learning and they're not growing. And so I think it's a big thing. Yeah. I think
so here's the problem, and this is how we resolve it at Beware Technology. And this is kind of like, pay attention to MSPs or IT companies that are out there. Are basically not taking accountability is, for example, you're bouncing off stuff to Microsoft. It's Microsoft's fault, right? It's not us.
That was
or
the
the
company.
or it's the ISP. That's why the internet is slow. It's not
Yeah.
the network. It's the vendor. It's the software vendor that you're having problems with. It's not us. Doesn't concern us. It's a cybersecurity company, or et cetera, et cetera. And the list goes on and on. Right? You're not taking accountability. If you're not going to take accountability, you need to prove why it doesn't fall on your lap. So, for example, it's Microsoft fault, right? So when you say, no, well, this is not us, it's Microsoft. Well, here's the evidence, dude. Here's the evidence. Let me create a report for you so we can say, yes, this is Microsoft. We're on the horn with Microsoft right now. We put a ticket in. We're going to meet with the rep. We're being very proactive, right? We're being very proactive, but it's not our fault. It doesn't fall on us. Here's the evidence, right? So same with the ISP. For example, the internet is slow. Well, it is the ISP. We contacted the ISP. We're being proactive, but here are the pings. Here's the trace route. Our DNS is perfectly fine. Everything is working internally inside of the network. This is definitely a server outside of the network that is having problems. One of the relays or whatever upstream, not inside of our company. So as long as you have proof that it's not your responsibility, it's still your responsibility.
Exactly.
Why?
Not
Because
your
you have to be. It's you're not. You might not be accountable, but
exactly.
it is your responsibility to provide that evidence,
Yeah.
right? And also be proactive enough to be able to. You know what, Mr. Klein, we want to solve this problem, even though it's not our fault. So we are on the horn with the ISP, with whatever, because we're the technical people that can help you do that. Because if they talk to you, you won't know anything. You know what I mean? So we can help you. So yes, accountability is such a huge factor
Yeah.
in this industry. So having said that, where would you put this, Andrew?
I probably put it around D in that area because I think accountability is about communication too and trust. So if you can take on accountability, or to your point, Dan, I think it's very well said. You can
Yeah.
prove your accountability, or you can prove it's not your fault through, and then take action. It builds that
Yes.
confidence and trust with the client. So it's all of a sudden like, hey, don't worry, this is happening. It's not us. This is why, but we're on it. We're going to fix it for you.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I think it's important,
Exactly.
and you place it accordingly to build that confidence for the client.
Exactly. So it might not be your IT's fault. It might be somebody else's fault, but your IT is there helping you solve the problem.
Solve the problem.
How's that?
I love
I
it.
love it. I love this, Andrew Samerton. This was an excellent podcast. I hope you take something home. And if you're seeing this happening in your company, you know what? You have somebody that you can count on, and it's not just lip service. We have lots of references. We have our work history that says a lot in our reviews and all of that, and we'd be happy to provide services that are MSP oriented to your company. So follow
Absolutely.
us
Yeah.
and just reach out to Andrew Samerton. He's an amazing guy. He's not just my friend; I'm a business partner, but he's a good fellow.
But I think, thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, and mutually the respect is thrown the other way. So thank you for that. If anybody wants to get, you're thinking about leaving your MSP and you want to go to bwire.ca and download a white page that we have, very, very valuable, very, very insightful. Don't hesitate, reach out to us, ask for it. We can send it to you. You can download it,
Yes.
what have you. Great product. Here we go.
We have
got
one question.
We have a question. But there you go. Perfect.
Yeah, like answering questions now. So let's see. It says, how does your company deliver fast support without locking clients into expensive contracts? This is such a good segue to our company that is not even funny. Thank you so much, Alejandro, for providing this. Andrew, take it away while
Yeah.
I show our website.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. So I think it's really great question, Alejandro. And because most companies are locked into long-term contracts, very expensive contracts, sometimes paying for things they don't necessarily need. We believe, and we have a mindset that we need to prove ourselves each and every month. So if you want to leave your current MSP and you want to be onboarded through us, Be Wired, we can talk to you about short-term contracts, no onboarding fees. We can talk to you about us proving ourselves on a month-to-month basis, giving you that support, that insight. We also take a lot of our customers that we've got that were they were literally held hostage almost from certain MSPs, where they were renting their equipment. They didn't know who owned what, where it was, etc. And so we believe full-heartedly about giving our clients back that confidence, the keys to their kingdom, and we own it and represent them on a month-to-month basis if need be, if that's what the client's looking for. Of course, we have long-term contacts. Of course, we have all kinds of different scenarios that we look at. But if someone's looking at transferring over at no cost, us absorbing those onboarding fees, us working with you on a month-to-month contract to earn that respect and to give you back that confidence and your support you're looking for, we're happy to do that. So how
Yes.
does your company deliver faster support without locking clients into expensive contracts? Well, that's how we do it. And the nice thing about it, we have an escalation process and we're very, very strict on it. So the
Yeah.
client's expectations are known immediately, that if it's a low, medium, high, or urgent, that's how they're getting responded to.
100%. So one of the things, a couple of things before we leave, and I know we are kind of like out of time on here, but this conversation is just so good. I love it. The first one, no onboarding fees. Right, every MSP that tries to onboard you is going to have some sort of fees attached to it. Oh no, we got to get paid this for configuration, and no, we just waive that. Right, uh, flexible agreements. Most MSP, most companies are going to lock you into kind of like some hard numbers. So even if you don't use this amount of hours, you still get charged, etc. For us, it's very flexible. So we look at our contract every 3 or 6 months, and then we are able to adjust accordingly to be able to move forward. So things like that, for example, are very good. We have road plans for switching, right? So we work with our clients to be able to get everything in time as we go until they are completely onboarded into our clienthood, right? So the next thing is you don't lease equipment from us. You might buy from us because we have better relationships with our vendors through us, not from us, but through us. However, we don't lease a piece of equipment, and I understand that some companies they can afford to have their own equipment, but you should be able to at minimum have your own computers. And so if an MSP can send and say, oh yeah, no, you can lease it from us, that is kind of like the worst thing they can do, because you're locking yourself so hard into
Very
that
hard to leave them.
contract. It's going to be almost impossible to leave them, right? So we also have like a walk away clauses. We have walk away clauses, like
Yeah.
if you're not happy with our service, then you can say, you know what, see you guys, I don't want to be with you, I'm going to move on. That is totally fine, because we know that you're going to love us once you are with Big Wire Technologies.
Well,
So
I think that's critical, Dan. I mean, we've been in business for almost 17 years at this point, and the reality of it is, all of our clients are still with us. Clients we dealt with 17 years ago, we're still dealing with today in every capacity, and things have changed and morphed over the years. So very, very proud of that statistic. Very, very proud of our Google reviews. Very, very proud that if any client wants to join us or talk to us or meet with us and talk to our clients, happy to share those with you. You're not going to just talk to some voice. You're going to talk to the people who are in charge of those companies and get a true insight and true understanding of how valuable we are as a team. And I say as a team, a very, very intimate team to work with those clients. So they know us, we know them.
exactly. So now, if you want more information on what to do and how to approach the idea of switching your MSPs, we do have what do you call it, a guide, an easy guide
Yeah.
that you can use to be able to get out of the contracts and stuff that lock in that you currently have with your current MSP, and then be able um, to move away from them. So here it is the switching IT providers. Is I think it's about 17-20 pages
Yeah,
of
about that. Yeah.
really, really good information on how to be able to do this. So how to prepare before you leave your current MSP, what things you need to protect, what accounts, what is the critical information that you need to protect, and how do you can reduce disruption in the transition period. And for the most part, when we transition companies from other MSPs to us, it's a very smooth transition, and I'm
Exactly.
so happy, and knock on wood, everything has been so smoothly in our transitions that there is a If not, no disruption. It's actually simpler than what you probably are
Probably think.
thinking. Because,
I
because yeah, go ahead.
Now, I was going to say, I think there's an ethical standpoint among MSPs too. They know that if their client is firing them, there's a reason. There's been writing on the wall for a long time. And 99% of the time, they're not going to show resistance. They're going to maybe have a conversation with you and try to have that same conversation again and save the business, etc. But the reality of it, I mean, from an ethical standpoint, if you are getting fired or let go because you haven't been doing a good job as an MSP, 9 out of 10 times the transition is pretty smooth. You work closely with that MSP, you transfer the information, lines of communication are clear with the clients, and everything is pretty seamless, to Dan's point. So it's really more about you as an owner and making that decision that it's the right time to make that move. And I think that's really important.
Yes. So get started today. Here it is, the bwire.ca. So bwired.ca/contact. You can send us a quick request so we can meet with you. You meet with Andrew, you meet with Dan, and with our team here, our phone numbers and information. It's just we're just one step away, and you can reach us anytime. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and have a fantastic weekend. Andrew,
Absolutely.
love you, man. Have a good weekend too.
Back at you, my friend. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.